to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I wanted to talk about step 4 a little bit. Um, I met with my sponsor this morning over a cortado, which is an amazing coffee drink, and a yogurt bowl, fruity yogurt bowl with peanut butter, and it was amazing. And we talked about step 4. We talked about a lot of different steps. But we talked about step 4. This is a new sponsor for me, so we're going through the steps so that we can really get to know each other and make sure that I don't have any leftover stuff. Like I've been wanting to go through the steps again to see what comes up, and I just really have been enjoying going through it with her. She's doing it differently than the first time I went through it, and I like it. So what what came up for me the first time I went through my step 4 was fear of abandonment. Like as I wrote down all of my resentments, I always simplify it by saying step 4 is I wrote down everybody I was pissed off at, and then I wrote down all of like my role in that. Like what is my character defect that's causing me to be pissed off at them? Um, and what it came down to for me was fear of abandonment for everyone. Every single one on my list was fear of abandonment. And that was an interesting trend for me to notice. And this time, I was really, she had given me some worksheets to go over that I'm really inspired to go through. I wanted to go through it, but I'm quote unquote too busy. So I didn't do it before we met. But I am inspired to go through them now to see if anything else surfaces. So what I actually did was talk to her about the first time I did step 4, and I explained to her that I wrote down everybody I was pissed off at, why I was pissed, and what possibly was my role in that relationship and why it was the way that it was. And I explained to her that it came down to fear of abandonment. And I am very easily able to list everybody in my life who has gone away and hasn't come back. And and that is what I revert back to when I have anything like any sort of argument or something with somebody. I feel that retreat inside myself, like, why don't you just go away and don't come back? Because that's what happens in my life. People go away and they don't come back. So just go. It's like I remember I was telling my sponsor I had a neighbor that I was really close to, and she told me that she was moving. And I said, what? I stopped like calling her, and I stopped going over to her house and stuff because I was like, just rip the band-aid off, just go because you're never going to come back kind of thing. And finally, that neighbor like made me face my issue, and she was like, why have you stopped calling me? And I said, because you're going away and you're never going to come back. Like our relationship is going to change forever, and just go. Like I'm ready to just let it go, rip the band-aid off. And she was like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I learned through my addiction therapist that it doesn't have to be that way. But I'm still not convinced, and I learn everything the hard way, or I don't learn it at all. I still feel very much that, we approach different phases of our lives, and as we do, our relationships change. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want things to change. I want them to be exactly the way that they were. Like when my kids went away to school, every parent has a difficult time with that. I told my addiction therapist, because this was right when I got sober, and I said, people go away and they don't come back. And so we worked through like, I have a role in that. I have every ability to keep in contact. And it was the first time I had really seen, it's not like I didn't know, but it's the first time I had really seen that I had an impact on that. So this fear of abandonment I started to see that I don't have to feel that way, that there are ways to heal that side of me. So when we were talking today about step 4, I've always I have a whole outline in front of me, but I really kind of strayed away from it. When I when I originally went through step 4, I was looking at it from the point of acceptance. So when I was upset with somebody, then I had to look at, well, that's due to a fear of mine. So I need to just accept that that's the way it is and I need to heal. Instead of having fear, I need to heal. I need to face that fear and I need to heal. But today I started looking at it a little bit differently. I started looking at step 4 as having 3 parts. Um, so I write down everybody that I'm pissed at, and then I need to look at my role, just like before. What did I do that impacted our relationship? But then there's these other 2 parts that I'm not quite sure that I dissected the acceptance part of it enough. And the 2 parts of acceptance for me is that everybody is sick in some way. That's one part of acceptance. And the second part is I'm holding on by a thread, remembering what I'm trying to say here, because I'm not looking at my outline. The other part of it is that I don't have control of other people. So everybody is sick in some way, and I don't have control over other people. So when I was looking at acceptance in step 4, I was looking at it from the perspective of, obviously, my lens. And my lens is, they did this to me. This is my fear and why I've internalized it and been hurting so much from it. So I need to accept it. It's just me, right? When I pull in these 2 parts of acceptance, I break down acceptance a little bit and have a little bit of empathy. Like, acceptance is a process, and I think part of that process is empathy. Being able to look at the other person's role in the relationship and saying, this is what my sponsor says all the time. And it really stuck out to me today. She says it all the time. Everyone has their stuff. That's what she says. Everyone has their stuff. And understanding that the other person who I wrote down that I'm pissed at has had a lifetime of experiences that have molded them into the person that they are. And for me to just look on the surface of our relationship with each other and say, I'm pissed at them because they took this action against me, So the reason I'm upset about it is because I have had these experiences that have led me to have a fear of abandonment. So that's what's wrong here. I need to accept it. I think that that is not going deep enough. I feel like I need to, because I'm a very empathetic person, I think there is healing in me being able to look at, okay, I'm not the only one who came into this relationship with a lifetime of experience that has impacted me in the way of fears, hopes, and dreams. But this other person has come into the relationship with a lifetime of experiences that have led them to have fears, hopes, and dreams. And they are going to behave accordingly, and I'm going to behave accordingly. So, if I recognize that a little bit, it's a little bit easier to accept it. And then the other part is I can't control the way that they behave as a result of their experiences. And even when I accept it, it doesn't mean sometimes that I don't want to change it. So breaking away from that idea of, yeah, I accept them for who they are, but I still wish they were different. I can release that idea of, I wish they were different if I acknowledge that I can't control it. I can't make them different. You know, I can't, there are times that I'm looking at a relationship and it's so complex. Um, I'm looking at the relationship and I'm thinking I accept this person for who they are and how they behave, but yet I still have this underlining desire to change them. And with that is some sort of subconscious um, belief that I can change them, or little inadvertent maybe things I say or actions that are nudging where I'm trying to nudge them to change. And it's almost unnoticeable. So I feel like as I was sitting down and talking about step four today, I feel like that breaking it down into a little more depth and being able to recognize that everybody has their stuff. And if I don't bring that forward and look at it alongside what their behavior is, then I'm not really nurturing the relationship or rebuilding the relationship. I'm leaving a part of it out. I'm leaving out the part of um, their lifetime experience and how it's made them who they are today. So that traditional view of doing an inventory of resentments and looking at our role, I think that it, for me, left out a little bit of the emotional weight that all of those resentments really had on me. I think that I was trying to do the right thing because I'm a student, I'm very teachable, but sometimes I'm just trying to learn the lesson and I'm not really um, sitting down and thinking about the long-term healing that step four is doing for me. So this three-part breakdown of step four um, allowed me to own a little bit more of my part without blaming or justifying. I think that this gives me a little more, it empowers me to change a little bit, a little deeper. So I think that it's been good to do the first step for and get to that point of acceptance. And I have, there's people that were on my list that I'm like, that's that's who they are. But adding some compassion to why they are who they are, that everyone has their stuff, and recognizing that they have pain too. They have been broken in their lives. The empathy doesn't mean that I'm enabling them, or that I'm going to allow them to treat me in a bad way, but it does allow me to let go of wishing that they would be somebody other than who they are. That's what, like, dissecting what acceptance of others really looks like for me. Um, I think there is more freedom to be had when I stop when I stop wishing somebody would be different than they are. Um, that that doesn't change the process of step four, but I think that putting new words to it for me is enriching it a little more. I think it's giving me a little more responsibility and giving me a little more direction in how I can maybe manage my relationships in the future. So, yeah, it was a really good conversation. And I'm hoping that it helps me by dissecting that acceptance. It helps me help others in the future, because I've run across a lot of folks in sobriety who have approached me to talk about step four, and they have talked to me about a situation in their lives where they were straight up just the victim. They were the victim. They did not play a role in what happened to them. And I've never understood, how do I respond to that? Because that's what step four is about. It's about identifying our role in our relationships, in our resentments. What is my role? What did I do? And there are situations where the person is straight up just a victim. And how do you deal with that? So when my sponsor and I were talking about that, it helped me to recognize these two parts of acceptance, that these people are sick in some way, and they have experiences that have led them to behave the way that they do. And that doesn't mean it's okay, but it helps with clarity as to why I was the victim, and understanding that I can't change them. I can't make them, I can't change the experiences that they had. I can't change who those who those experiences have made them become. So I think it was a really healthy conversation today, and I'm truly grateful for my sponsor having time for me. Sponsors are awesome. So that's what I've got for you today. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will talk to you tomorrow.